Hello everyone, back you into part 2 of 10th Winter 2020-21 update. So here we go again, it's Monday and it's time for another winter update part 2. And this time we're looking at October data as well. I've got a lot to show you. Look at all of those tabs. This is like going back to the old days. Isn't it? It's like going back to the old days when we had like 100 tabs or something. Actually, I think we've got 72 open tabs there. So yes, this is like going back to the old days of the winter update. So I'm going to try and rattle through these in half an hour. If I can get through 72 tabs in 30 minutes, I think we will be doing very, very well. We're going to show you October data. So we're going to start off looking at the CET for October 2020. And then we're going to look at rainfall, England and Wales precipitation. Combining the two, because we are reaching the business end of the winter updates now. So, you know, we've only got like 3 more updates to go after this one. And then we're going to have to release the winter forecast. There's still lots that we haven't shown you yet. So, I thought we'd better start, you know, cracking on and combining the October data. And so that's what we're doing. So there we go. And I should get on that view very shortly. Just to say that it's been a busy day at GavsWeatherVids today. So yes, we have had a 10 to 14 day update, and in around a couple of hours time we'll have the third Christmas update for you as well. So that's going to be absolutely great. That'll be around 8 o'clock this evening. Third Christmas 2020 update. Thank you so much to Richard for the wonderful winter updates gift. We all love winter updates gifts, so thank you so much to Richard Truck for the winter updates gift. Thank you to Shryan as well for getting all of the relevant years together for me. Shryan has got, you know, compiled the relevant years, but I need him for the analog, so thank you so much to Shryan Bruin for doing that. I'm going to try and get this in at half an hour. That's quite a long video though, so if you can't watch it all in go, the video will be kept at GavsWeatherVids.com and on the YouTube channel indefinitely, and you'll be able to watch it on demand whenever you would like to do that, and it's no problem whatsoever. There will be a written summary that goes with this video, and I shall get that up for you tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, on Winter Updates page at website. Right, that's it, man. That's everything I'm going to tell you. So if I'm going to bring this in at half an hour, I'm going to have to really crack on, aren't I? So we're going to start at temperature and temperature. So the CET for October 2020 came in. Let's get the highlighter going. So the CET for October 2020 came in at 10.5. That was just 0.1 of a degree below average. So basically bang on average. So what we're going to look for is winters following October's with a CET of 10.4 to 10.6. That's going to be our CET range for this first part of the 10th Winter 2020 update part 2. So CET range 10.4, 10.6. That's what we're looking at. So let's do this then, shall we? So blink and you miss it. I'm going to rattle through these as quickly as I can. The first winter following October with a CET range of 10.4 to 10.6 is the winter of 1875. This one looks quite a cold winter with blocking to the north, high pressure to the north and low pressure to the south, and winds are in from an easterly direction. So quite a cold winter to start us off for 1874, 1875. Our next winter with a CET range, following October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6 is 1903, 1904. This is a very wet winter. I don't think it's particularly cold, but it is a very, very wet winter with low pressure driving in from off the Atlantic. Next up, we've got 1909, 1910, following this October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. This time, it looks very wet with deep low pressure over the UK and Northern Europe as well. So another wet winter. Next, we've got 1910, 1911. This is a drier, more anticyclonic winter, but still mild. We've got high pressure rushing through the North Atlantic into UK. Low pressure is up here, jets push northwards. So that's a drier winter, but it is still a mild winter as well for 10-11. It's quite a severe winter following in October with a CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. This is the winter of 1916, 1917. There aren't many cold winters in the first 40 years of the 20th century, or the first 45 years, I suppose, from 1895 to 1940. So that 45-year period they're mainly mild winters, but there are one or two colder winters. This is one of them. This is quite a severe winter, 1916, 1917, in the middle of the First World War, northern blocking and bringing in the easterlies. So a severely cold winter there for 1617, although not with a sub-zero CET. Then we have the winter of 1920-1921. This is a mild and dry winter, a milder and drier winter with high pressure across northern and western Europe. So yeah, that's pretty nondescript. 1925-1926 is our next winter. This one is a mild Atlantic-driven winter with low pressure in off the Atlantic and westerlies too. So that's quite mild and westerly driven. Then we have 1927-1928, again, following this October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. This one is a funny winter, this. So it's very cold for a period in December. And like the Scandinavian high just here, it does give the game away a little bit, because in December, very easterly. And there's a classic white Christmas as well for Christmas 1927. But when the high pressure, when the Scandinavian high goes, when it recedes, the rest of the winter is generally mild and wet and Atlantic driven. So it's a funny old winter, that one. But certainly December 1927 is cold, and there is a very classic white Christmas. Next up, we've got 1930-1931, with, again, low pressure across much of Northern Europe. This is, again, a mainly unsettled and mild winter, 1930-1931. 1934-1935 is showing up next, with, again, low pressure across much of Central Europe. Higher pressure is up here. It looks like it should be a colder winter, really, doesn't it? It looks like we should probably bring in east winds, but I think it's generally quite a mildish winter for 1935. Most of the 1930s winters were quite mild. Next up, we've got 1937-1938. Again, this looks like it should be quite a cold winter with high pressure to the north and low pressure to the south. Again, I think it's generally quite a mildish sort of winter, really, for 1937 to 1938. 1938-1939 is our next winter, following October with a CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. This one is an unsettled winter with low pressure to the west of Europe, high pressure to our north and east. This one, again, has quite a cold December. So, December 1938 is, again, another classic white Christmas. Interesting, we've got two classics, 1927 and 1938, two classic white Christmas, quite white Christmases showing up there. And, again, very similar to 1927, 1928, in that when the cold goes after Christmas, it doesn't really come back. Although there are some snowy outbreaks during January 1939. But generally, it gets milder with this winter. The further on we go. Nevertheless, again, it's another cold December, and particularly so around Christmas, when there is a proper snowy white Christmas in 1938. Our next winter is 1941-1942. This is part of a trilogy of severe winters, of course. In the early 1940s, there's a trilogy of severe winters. This is one of them, the final one, actually, I think, 1941-1942, with blocking to the north, low pressure to the south and the east, and winds in from an easterly direction. So cold and wintry winter for that one. 1942-1943 ends the run of cold and severe winters. So this one is a milder Atlantic-driven winter, high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, and winds in from a westerly direction. That's the first of a couple of milder winters for the second half of the Second World War. 1947-1948 is also a mild, wet, Atlantic-driven winter with low pressure coming through off the Atlantic. So that one is also another mild winter. And then, look at this. For the very first time this season, we have the daddy. This is the daddy of cold winters. It's 62, 63, the coldest winter since 1740. Wow. And it's showing up for the very first time in our winter update. So we haven't seen this so far during this season winter updates, but here we go. We've got the blocking within the northern latitudes, and we've got the low pressure and the jet stream plunging in to the south. Down goes the jet to southern Spain and North Africa. And in come the easterlies. Very, very easterly winter. Lots and lots of beastly winds during the winter of 1962 and 1963. Severely cold winter, and there it is for the very first time in this season winter updates following and October with a CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. Actually, I think October 1962 came in at 10.4 with its CET. Right, so seeing my daddy for the first time this winter. How exciting! Let me know in the live, in the chat, in the comments, whether you enjoyed seeing the daddy of cold winters. Let's carry on. 72, 73 is back to mild weather with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south and the east, winds in from the southwest. So that's a drier and mild winter. 72, 73. We've got 76, 77 here. This starts off cold. It has a cold December and then gets milder. Has got northern blocking. So for December, we do get the cold from that northern blocking. And then in January and February, the cold goes into Eastern America, which of course is a brutal cold month. Brutal cold during January and February 1977 in North America as Northern Europe turns milder. We've got 1983, 1984 showing up next. Is there a trend here with many of these? I don't know if there is really, but low pressure with this one coming in off the Atlantic, high pressure's out to our west, winds on a northwest southeast alignment with the jet stream. So yes, look at that. It looks like it's another cold and unsettled winter with this one. The key thing with this one is that bringing the air from Greenland and Canada into the UK. So it's a very Atlantic-driven winter, but it is also quite cold, especially later on. 88, 89 is our next one. This is a mild and dry winter with high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. Income west-southwest is mild and dry for that one. Then we've got 98, 99. This is a generally mild Atlantic-driven winter from the 1990s. Again, high pressure pulled out into the middle of the North Atlantic. Low pressure to our north, winds in from a westerly direction. It does have cold snaps, but generally it's a mild winter for 98, 99. 2004, 2005 is very backloaded winter with high pressure in the middle of the North Atlantic. And so what happens with this one is that it's generally mild early on, and then it gets colder later. So late February to early March 2005, particularly cold, but most of December and the vast majority of January actually mild, although again it does have a bit of a white Christmas up in the north. And then we've got 2018, 2019. This is a mild and dry winter with high pressure stretching through the west of Europe, so mild and dry winter 2018, 2019. Let's put all of that together then. This is how all Decembers combined are looking for an October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. There is cold potential with these Decembers. Look at this. We have high pressure over Scandinavia, and we have low pressure sort of, let's change the colour. We have low pressure to the south of the country. You would favour bringing in like an easterly wind there in those Decembers. So yes, I think there's definitely cold potential with those Decembers. The blocking reduces quite a lot as we go through into January. It's all January's combined. It's still there to some degree, but it's a lot weaker. Generally just looking very unsettled across the west of Europe with low pressure dominating, and maybe still the chance of something a bit cold, but I don't think it's anywhere near as clear a signal for January to be cold as potentially it is for December. And then by the time we get through to all February's combined, we're reverting back to like a westerly flow with high pressure just to our west. Low pressure is within the northern latitudes, jet streams up here. So definitely like this favours colder earlier and milder later, I think. And then we go through to all Marches combined, which just looks quite anticyclonic and could be quite spring-like, actually, as we could be drawing up winds from like a southerly direction. So I think front-loaded for cold is definitely suggested with that October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. Finally, all winters combined, or finally, for that, all winters combined with an October CET range 10.4, 10.6 looks like this. So there is cold potential, especially towards Scandinavia and also to some degree in the middle of the North Atlantic. Low pressures to our south and east. Winds are kind of in from an easterly direction. Bear in mind that's primarily down to what happens early in the winter. If we narrow things down to just looking at all Decembers combined post-1950, with an October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6, it It's nowhere near as good for cold this. So these are just for the years after 1950. And this time we get rid of that Scandinavian high. That goes. We have low pressure in towards Greenland, high pressure through the Atlantic into UK. Winds obviously would be westerly there. So that's a much milder signal for those Decembers. All January's combined for an October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6 post 1950 has high pressure out to our west. So there, I mean, because pulling some cooler air from the north at times with that, it is a more anticyclonic signal as well. All February's combined post 1950 with low pressure across the west of Europe. There is a mid-Atlantic ridge. So, you know, December looks like it goes milder. February could go colder here post 1950. Quite interesting. And then all Marches combined looking like that. Again, probably quite mild for Marches, although the high pressure is like around Greenland and Iceland. Because it's ridging down through Central Europe with low pressure around here, we'd like to be drawing up winds from the south. So quite mild and probably quite unsettled with those Marches. And then finally, all winters combined for October CET range of 10.4 to 10.6. Post 1950 looks like this. High pressure is out to our west, low pressure is to our south. It's not a classic cold pattern. December looks quite mild, February looks colder, and yeah, a proper old mixed bag. Definitely is. Right, so that's the first part of part 2 of the 10th winter update. So I'm going to pause the video there. Don't want to stop it, want to pause it. I'll pause the video there, and when we come back, we're going to look at October precipitation, rainfall data. So you get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself some nibbles and whatnot, and we're going to see you back here very, very shortly for the rest of part 2 of the 10th winter 2020-21 update. I see you very soon. Hello there. Welcome back to part 2, to the second part of part 2 of the 10th winter 2020-21 update. I still can't get my head around this part 1, part 2 thing, especially like part 2 of part 2 of the 10th winter update. I still can't sort of get my head around it. But hello, thank you so much everybody for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video so far, please smash the like button. Let us know in the comments what you think, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on the grind now to 9k subs, so thank you so much everybody for doing that. Right, we're going to resume. So in the first part of this video we looked at October CET data. Now we're going to start looking at October England and Wales rainfall data as well. So let's do this then. So this is the England and Wales precipitation index from the UK Met Office. Goes all the way back to 1766. Let's see what happened for England and Wales precipitation for October 2020. There's 2020 there, and there's October 2020 coming in with an October England and Wales precipitation of 163.8 millimeters. 163.8 millimeters. That means that this is a top 20 wettest October on record for England and Wales precipitation. Actually comes out at number 12. So very simply, what we're going to do is look at winters following the top 20 wettest Octobers, or like the top 19, as we don't know what this winter is going to be like yet, do we? At number 12, but we're going to look at the other 19 anyway. So let's do that then, Shane. Thank you so much to Shryan for getting all these together. So this is number 20. This is the 20th wettest October for England and Wales precipitation. It's 1998. The winter of 1998-1999 looks like that, with low pressure up to the north, high pressure is out to west. Winds are tending to be in from a westerly direction. So it cropped up in the first part of this video for the CET. It's there again for England and Wales precipitation. And yeah, so it's generally a mild 1990s winter, but does have some cold snaps. At number 19, we've got 1907, 1908. This one has high pressure to west, low pressure is to the east. I don't know much about this winter, but I think it's generally quite a mildish sort of winter, really. 1907, 1908. Gets colder in the spring. At number 18, for the wettest October, so England and Wales precipitation, it's 1976. Again, this one cropped up in the first... excuse me, this one cropped up in the first analogues package. in the early part of the video. So again, has a cold December. There is northern blocking. Has a cold December for Northern Europe and Western Europe. And then the cold really plunges down into Northern East America, where you have brutal cold during January and February 1977 as we turn milder. At number 17, we've got 2004, 2005. Again, this one cropped up in the earlier part of the video as well. This one is a backloaded winter, generally mild until February. Few cold snaps, but generally mild until February, and then it gets very cold late February and into March. We've got 1855, 1856. This one is a colder winter. This one's quite a cold winter with blocking with northern latitudes, low pressure to our south, but jet stream is pushed southwards as well. So that's quite a cold winter. Then we have at number 15, 1875, and winter of 1875, 1876. This one has a little bit of high pressure to the north, some low pressure to the south. That looks like it's a colder winter as well. At number 14, we've got 2013. So 2013 was the 14th wettest October on record. And winter 2013-2014, of course, it's very, very wet and stormy with low pressure in off the Atlantic, just continuous storms throughout the winter of 2013-2014. 1870-1871 is our next winter, again, with the lower pressure across western parts of Europe. Higher pressure is in the northern latitudes. Again, the jet stream pushing southwards. So that's like it's a slightly colder winter again. Then we've got 1880, 1881. This is a severe cold January. So again, very extensive northern blocking within the northern latitudes. Low pressure is pushed southwards along with the jet stream as well. So yes, the winter of 1880, 1881 has severe cold in January. Very, very cold and snowy month in January 1881. So, of course, we've gone past 2020, haven't we? That was at number 12. We don't have that year, so now we're on to number 10. We're into the top 10. So, at number 10, for the wettest Octobers, top 20 wettest Octobers, we've got 1949. Winter of 1949, 1950 is mild and unsettled. Mild and wet winter for that one. Then, at number 9, we've got 1932. So, winter of 1932, 1933 is quite a cold and dry winter with winds tending to be a little bit more easterly. At number 8, we've got 1891, 1892 with low pressure over the country. High pressure is pulled out to the northwest. That's generally quite a coolish winter as well, I think, for 1891. 1892. Lots of the 1800s with this. Very interesting. Then we've got number 7, which is 1882, 1883. This is a milder winter with winds in from off the Atlantic. Number 6, the 6th wettest October on record for England Wales precipitation is 1865. The winter of 1865-1866 also looks unsettled and mild, with low pressure to our west, winds in from the southwest. A lot of people think like the winds in the 1800s, all of them were cold, but that is not the case at all. There are many mild winters in the 1800s, and that is going to be one of them. Top 5 now. So these are the top 5 wettest Octobers. 1960, 1961 is one of the milder winters of the 1960s, actually, with low pressure in off the Atlantic. Does have a lot of high pressure over towards Russia, but no, this is a mild winter. One of the milder winters from the 1960s. A lot of winters in the 1960s were cold, not all of them, and that was one of the milder ones in 1960, 1961. At number 4, we've got 1967, 1968, with high pressure out to our west, low pressure is to our east. There's a lot of cold snaps during this winter. December 1967 is generally mild, but January and February of 1968 do have several cold snaps. Top 3. So the 3rd wettest October on record for England Wales precipitation was 1987. Great storm year, of course, but Michael Fish faux pas. Sir Michael Fish faux pas. Winter of 87-88 is generally mild and Atlantic driven winter with low pressure in off the Atlantic. That's a wet and mild winter for 87-88, the first of a trilogy of mild winters. And number 2 for the wettest October on record for England and Wales precipitation, we have got 2000, the year 2000, October 2000. The winter of 2000-2001 is a colder winter, actually. I mean, it's not a classic at all, but it does have its moments. It got some northern blocking. It does bring in the eases, especially so more northern parts of the country. And even down in the south, there is a little bit of snow during the winter of 2000-2001. I mean, we look back now and like after December to remember and so on, it's not remembered as a particularly cold winter, but at the time, for the era of like 1990s and early to mid 2000s, for that era, it is one of the colder winters, actually, and especially so for more northern areas. And this is the wettest October on record for England and Wales precipitation. It's October 1903. The winter of 1903-1904 looks like this, with low pressure in off the Atlantic, jet streams plunging southwards as well. And so it is a very, very unsettled, wet but quite mild winter for 1903 and 1904. Right, so let's put all of those years together. And this is sort of how all Decembers combined are looking. Following the top 20, or top 19 I suppose, but the top 20 wettest Octobers on record. Looks unsettled, doesn't it? Deep low pressure across the west of Europe. There is northern blocking, but it's relatively weak. But generally could be on a little bit of a southerly track. But I think generally the main thing with these, they might have some cold snap potential these descent, but generally I think the main thing is that they are very unsettled. All January's combined, following the top 20 wettest Octobers, also looking unsettled with low pressure around west of Europe. Again, there is northern blocking up towards Scandinavia and back into Svalbard, but overall it's another wet signal for the Januaries and probably not overly cold, to be honest. And it goes on for the all Februaries combined as well, with just low pressure in the north of Europe. Again, there is blocking available within the northern latitudes, but I don't think blocking is strong enough to force that trough southwards. And so this is quite a wet signal for these winter months, but probably on average, there will be some colder years included, of course, but on average, probably quite mild, but also wet. And this is how all winters combined look, following the top 20 wettest Octobers. Again, deep low pressure across west of Europe, high pressure within the northern latitudes. And so, yes, winters are looking generally very unsettled, to say the least. And that's all Marches as well, so that's got a little bit mixed up, hasn't it? All Marches do actually sort of push the jet stream southwards, actually. This is all Marches combined, following the top 20 wettest Octobers. And actually, the jet stream is pushed southwards with that. And so out of all of the months, it's probably March that has the greatest chance, anyway, of being a little bit colder. Let's narrow things down to post-1950. So this is how all Decembers combined are looking, following the top 20 West Octobers, but only with the years after 1950 included. So, again, makes very little difference to all Decembers. Still looks wet and probably quite mild overall, really, with low pressure in control. All January's combined post 1950. Again, low pressure is centred over UK and Ireland. High pressure is to the north. So again, blocking is available, but probably not strong enough to do much in the way of cold weather, really. These are all Februaries combined post 1950. They do actually have a little bit more cold potential, these, than the general Februaries combined. We've still got the northern blocking, but sort of pushing that ridge a little bit eastwards and possibly turning wind into the north. So February does have a little bit of cold potential there post 1950, as does March as well. So this October data is possibly favouring a backloaded winter a little bit. So it's interesting, the CET data probably favoured a front-loaded winter with cold early on in winter to some degree, and then milder later. Whereas the rainfall data, though, probably favours a backloaded winter. So that would be a winter that's milder earlier on and then gets colder later. So February and March have the greatest cold potential here with this post 1950, and then of course we've got all winters combined following the top 20 wettest Octobers post 1950. It is an unsettled signal, whether we look at the all winters combined or just post 1950, whichever one we do, it's unsettled. Low pressure dominates across the west of Europe, and so a wet winter would be expected, but a winter that does get colder as we go along. Right, so the last thing we've got to do is bring the CET and precipitation years together. So we have established that there is a little bit of an overlap with some of these years. So let's just do that before we wrap things up. Here we go then. So these are the years that crop up in both the CET and also the England and Wales precipitation data. So it's 1903, 1904, 1976, 1977, and 2004, 2005. All Decembers combined from the October CET and rainfall overlap years look like this. Very unsettled, low pressure across the west of Europe for those December overlap years. All January's combined, again, low pressure for West Europe, but not as deep. A little bit more higher pressure within the northern latitudes. Probably still quite unsettled, though, and relatively mild for those Januaries. All February's combined for the October CET and rainfall overlap years, looking very unsettled. But there is a very strong northern blocking signal for those Februaries. That's probably down to February 2005 more than anything. Although February 77, of course, had northern blocking, but the cold went into Eastern America. Anyway, probably a chance of something colder for the Februaries. But the main thing, again, very unsettled. All Marches combined for our overlap years has high pressure around Iceland, lower pressure down to the south. Could just about envisage pulling in some colder air from the east, perhaps, with those Marches. And then lastly, this is how all winters combined are looking following our October CET and rainfall overlap years. Looks unsettled with low pressure across the west of Europe. High pressure is within the north latitudes. And so, yes, a wet winter for Western Europe with some colder potential at times, probably. But not a particularly strong cold signal, and the main issue, the main thing would be a wet winter is favoured, both I think from a CET and also from a rainfall data. Right, I have done that in 32 minutes. I wanted to bring that around half an hour. It's 2 minutes on, so I think that's pretty good going. I've got through 72, I think it was 72 tabs in 32 minutes. Smash that like button if you think I did a good job bringing this out at half an hour with 72 tabs. Please smash the like button. Let us know in the comments what you think. And again, make sure you subscribe to the GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel. And we're on the grind to 9k subs right now. So this video will be placed on the winter updates page. There's going to be a written summary that goes with it as well. And I should get that up for you tomorrow morning at GavsWeatherVids.com. You'll be able to watch the video on demand at website and also on the YouTube channel. And so that's the 10th update done now. The 10th update is done. And we go on next Sunday and Monday to the 11th update. With that one, we're going to show you winters following hyperactive hurricane seasons. I think there'll be a lot of interest in that. Check out the Christmas update that's coming up in a couple of hours' time. But for this video, for the 10th Winter 2020 update parts 1 and 2, for this video, for the 10th Winter update, that's all for now. And thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.